We are immersed in both organic and synthetic frequencies. So I'm going to be explaining exactly what synthetic frequencies are, as well as my top 5 solutions for how you could shield yourself from them. So when it comes to synthetic frequencies, why they're synthetic is because they're not frequencies or energy that is created through natural means. Natural meaning our environment, which I will get into later. So what makes them specifically synthetic is not just the fact that they aren't created by firsthand or primary sources like our environment and nature. That's just one of the qualifiers to make it synthetic. But there's many different forms of energy conversion or energy sources and technology that would not necessarily qualify for being natural, but still yet aren't what I'm specifically calling synthetic. So what makes something synthetic is when it has a weaponized intention to lower human consciousness, compromise the energy field of both our biofield as well as Earth's biofield, and also to transform or mutate in a very detrimental way, not just human consciousness, but our physical body, and specifically our nervous system. And so these primary sources of synthetic frequencies is what we would consider like really high hertz or sometimes very low hertz operating technology that is meant to specifically target human consciousness and our energy field. That's what would make it synthetic. Because at that point, what it's literally trying to do is take us off of our natural hertz, our natural rhythm, and our natural frequencies. So the primary culprits of synthetic frequency that we have are data centers have become the largest and primary electromagnetic stressor. Just like all forms of frequency pollution and detrimental frequencies. So data centers are the top source of synthetic frequencies, which I will get into later. Then what you have is HAARP. HAARP's technology actually is what I would consider neutral. The reason why HAARP's technology is being put in the category of synthetic frequencies is because of its intention. It's technology that's been weaponized in order to manipulate and prime our environment. And so the intention behind manipulating the environment and manipulating the radio waves to encourage specific outcomes like weather, or even those radio waves are used for more than just that. So they're used to act upon just the collective in general in a very detrimental way. And then what we have also is, I would consider 5G, 6G, and above to be synthetic frequencies because, once again, they're operating at a far higher range of frequency than our nervous system can adapt to, but also beyond adapting to, that it cannot like thrive in. So our nervous system can keep up with the frequency burdens that we're experiencing to an extent, but when it's so extreme, the frequencies are so low or so high, then that's just something that is setting up the nervous system for burdens and for stresses. Because what makes something now organic is when it actually harmonizes with the natural frequencies of our nervous system. So to understand the synthetic frequencies and organic frequencies better, I'll first need to paint a picture of what exactly it's doing to our energy field and our nervous system. What makes something a frequency is the hertz. And what makes the frequencies in hertz is how many cycles something is going per second, or whatever the measurement duration is. So how many times something oscillates or cycles per second is measured as a hertz, and that would be the frequency of that thing. So the synthetic frequencies are operating at such extreme levels of hertz that the nervous system is being bombarded. The energy field is being almost like unhinged or ungrounded from its normal frequency load, and even from harmonizing with the organic frequencies when it's constantly being signaled, being put in with more information, false information, more cycles and cycles and cycles. It's almost like scrambling our own signals. So what that does is make our natural hertz of our brain, our natural hertz of our nervous system, our natural frequencies inside our body mind go into a state of discoherency rather than coherency. Whereas the organic frequencies help and encourage and prime us for coherency. And so what that would look like is something that's aware, connected, and unified. That's what I'm defining as coherency. And when something is aware, connected, and unified, that creates synergy. That creates beneficial synergy, and eventually it creates what would be optimal health or optimal spiritual alignment, optimal emotional health, all of the above. So for mind, body, spirit, coherency is when they are aware, connected, and unified with each other so that their information is being shared. No different than how cellular renewal is done through the communication of cells. And when that process breaks down, that's what we just call the degeneration or aging process. Same things applies to coherent versus discoherent, because discoherent is now in a degenerative or detrimental state. So this synthetic frequencies encourage degeneration and lower the consciousness. Specifically, they target our endocrine system, which is the hypothalamus, pituitary, thyroid, and adrenals. The endocrine system is very esoteric. It's very spiritual. It's where a lot of our psychic centers inside our field come online. It's through that endocrine system. And there's many metaphors encoded inside spiritual texts, specifically alluding to the endocrine system. To be fair, the entire body is hidden esoteric anatomy. So we are the highest technology within this milestone of consciousness. So we just need to learn our advanced technology and then know what's detrimental and then help encourage what's beneficial and organic. And so the synthetic frequencies really target the endocrine system, among other things. But the endocrine system is the surest way to compromise the integrity of the body, mind, spirit, because that creates a downward cascade effect. If the endocrine system is being bombarded with all these signalings, it cannot function properly for its own hormonal signaling. So that's the way that degeneration is encouraged through synthetic frequencies. Whereas what you have with the pineal gland is well known now as one of the primary secretions of melatonin, which is regenerative. And it needs certain conditions for that regeneration, that renewal process that is completely synced with the circadian rhythm of Earth. So the human consciousness and our energy field syncing and in rhythm with Earth. And that is what will bring not just beneficial health, but also sync us with a renewal or regeneration process. Now what we have is a bunch of synthetic frequencies that are not only overloading our system, but giving it false cues. And these synthetic frequencies give the endocrine system and the nervous system in general false signaling, which means that it doesn't know when to renew. It doesn't know how to clean up the cellular body, or it doesn't. So there's becomes an immune burden, a cellular buildup where it can't actually do the proper detoxification and cleansing that it needs to when it's overwhelmed with synthetic frequencies. So I think you get the picture by now that synthetic frequencies are synthetic because they are so out of sync intentionally and in a manipulative manner with what is truly organic and truly beneficial to our overall health and to even our overall collective and even the earth. So, the largest culprit of synthetic frequencies right now is doing far more than everything that I just said. Data centers are very interesting because they don't make sense. They don't make sense at all, unless the sense or the intent is to literally lower human consciousness. That's the way that they would make sense if that was their agenda. Because data centers literally take up so much water, which is a natural and organic frequency and carrier frequencies. It's a medium of frequencies. Frequencies operate through the medium of water. That's what we know in esoterica. Water is highly spiritual, highly. So to learn more about water, watch my video on water and the alchemy of water, because it's really important for you to understand just how spiritual and powerful water is. So the fact that these data centers need so much water, and I understand that there's, they overheat and that's the reason, but that's not really the reason. The real reason is because of how powerful and life-giving water is. And the fact that these data centers are literally taking up so much organic sources of energy and conversion. Water in and of itself is a highly advanced technology. So we could actually do whatever we're trying to do with data centers through water if we're creative and inventive enough. But because the data centers are consuming so much water and then converting that water into literally dirt brown drinking water. Now, personally, I wouldn't drink drinking water even if it was clear. But the point is that now it's so obvious. It's so toxic for our natural and organic environment and organic frequencies, converting the water and the drinking water into complete sheer toxic sludge. That's just the first way that they're burdening our environment and the synthetic frequencies now. That information gets carried through the medium of water. So all of that water is now spreading those contaminated and toxic imprints. This is the esoteric level that I want to address synthetic frequencies through. Because beyond the fact that they are extreme, whether lower range or higher range forms of information that we're immersed inside, that are disrupting the normal rhythms, the normal frequencies of our nervous system and environment, now you have this far more spiritual dilemma. And that is that all of the information that is making the water toxic, I want you to really look this up. Go look at the water levels or quality that's at these data centers. It's dark brown. People can't even shower or wash stuff inside their own water around them anymore. But now if we know from my video on water and alchemy that it imprints information, those synthetic frequencies and the information of those synthetic frequencies are now being carried out far further through the medium of water. So beyond that, the next reason why data centers are the primary source of synthetic frequencies right now is that not only are they consuming so much energy, electricity, and then putting that out into specific types of frequencies, is that there's so many of them that it has a very odd way of acting with our organic electromagnetic field. Our organic electromagnetic field is almost like you could look at it a time machine. So when these synthetic frequencies are being output and output and output at such aggressive and robust levels across, far regions of land, that can communicate to our organic electromagnetic field. And what it can do is almost like dial us in to very synthetic timelines, or even a complete, dimensional shift. And this is where we see the timeline split come into the picture, because the timeline split, which has already happened to a very strong degree and is already going to continue to happen, is showing you both possibilities: the strong synthetic timelines and what they're doing and what direction they're going in, as well as the organic timelines. And that's where consciousness prospers, and we've understand the benefits to our upgrades that we're receiving from organic sources, and that we are cooperating, collaborating, co-creating with our reality, versus when our consciousness is lowered so much to the degree that now it's almost like we're off of our normal radio station. So imagine this reality as a specific radio station, because that's exactly what it is. It's not just a metaphor, it's kind of a perfect example. So we're on a specific radio station, broadcasted through specific frequencies and consciousness and deep down into layers, until we're in the third density, third dimension. And that's the radio station we're on. The data centers are putting out so much synthetic information, so much synthetic signaling to our organic electromagnetic field that it can change the radio station that we're on. So it's almost like you can go lower and lower into different realms or dimensions within the Earth realm. So you're still on Earth, you're still a human experience, but there's so many different versions of that. There's so much room to play around with that. And so specifically, more of the spiritual dilemma, once again, when it comes to these data centers, is the fact that they are literally messing with the electromagnetic field. It's like broadcasting synthetic frequencies, and then through that, taking our reality into almost like different possibilities, different types of like phases. So it's almost like phasing into lower versions. So this is where we're literally seeing the timeline split the strongest. When it comes to now these things that are happening inside our reality, and they're just getting kind of like more prominent, where even people who are very conscious and, very spiritually evolved are now going, okay, yeah, I get it. These things we have to now incorporate discernment into. Because discernment was kind of always something that was bartered or negotiated when it comes to people who know how powerful they are. They just, ignore everything else. And now it's going like, okay, I get it. Discernment is very important in order to navigate our spiritual awakening. So the discernment factor is so important, because nothing that I said is meant to leave us hopeless. In fact, I'm going to give solutions that I think are super cool. It's meant to make us aware of exactly the type of synthetic frequencies that are priming our reality and human consciousness, and what that leads to. Now, for the organic frequencies are things inside our natural environment. So the sun, huge emitter of organic frequencies, and even of upgrades. Watch my video on what is an upgrade, because understanding the difference between having our nervous system and energy field bombarded by synthetic frequencies versus having our energy field and our nervous system immersed in organic frequencies that could be overwhelming, but eventually are meant to update our entire body, mind, spirit, is a huge difference. And so if you watch that video on what upgrades are, you'll understand how the organic frequencies work with us and our consciousness. Because what they do is they come in and almost put like a software update. That's just like an analogy. They come in and they could be overwhelming. In fact, when they are overwhelming, that's called ascension symptoms. And many people know what ascension symptoms are. So it's not like they don't produce ascension symptoms, but what they're doing is essentially facilitating our ascension. And so that's upgrading us. So organic frequencies are operating at the highest level through the ether. And that's where you'll see this coolest technology for our future come through. It will be technology based in the 0-point field and the ether. So, and the ether is just the alchemical name for that. In other traditions, it's known as other things, but there's always an ether. And ether is the highest natural element and most powerful. Then, like I said, you have the sun, you have even underwater forms of conversion of energy, just through like temperatures. So you'll have like underwater forms of organic frequencies that are also doing so much. Like they're so strong, powerful frequency emitters and energy converters. So the organic frequencies are like these things that I listed and more. They're essentially anything that's within the elements. And those are emitting natural frequencies. So the elements being earth, air, fire, water, ether, wood. So these frequencies and more, anything within our environment, within or throughout, that is beneficial and coherent, meaning it harmonizes with our energy field. It's not taking it over, stressing it out and mutating it, but harmonizing with it to create synergy. Synergy as well as coherency is organic because it's beneficial and it's natural. So the synthetic frequencies are not as powerful as the organic frequencies. So that's the first thing that we have to understand when it comes to like this concept once we zoom back out of it and go like, all right, like what's going on? Are we screwed or not? The organic frequencies are far more powerful, but we need to be able to be aware of what these detrimental components inside our reality are, because what they do is literally, if we're not conscious enough of them to be able to take the necessary requirements to shield ourselves from them, they come in and they really mess with the mental body. They really mess with the brain's frequencies as well. How they do that is they take us off of our normal and natural hertz. So every bodily tissue, and there's many, operates at a specific hertz or frequency. And this has even been measured. So bioresonance technology, bioresonance physicians throughout the world know through the frequency that a person's body tissue is emitting what is healthy tissue for that. So if it's the brain or if it's the liver or if it's the kidney, they all have different frequencies because they're all different signatures that differentiate themselves. The liver is differentiated from the kidneys through what? Through frequency. So it has a different signature. Now imagine all of your bodily tissue has these different signatures, these unique ways of understanding that that's a specific tissue. Now you put on top of that frequency of it being a specific tissue, another one, which is it in an optimal range or not? Is it healthy? Or is it in a diseased state? And you can even measure these now. You can measure through the frequencies that a certain organ or gland or tissue is emitting, whether or not it's actually in a disease state. So through energy medicine, you can actually tell if something is in an optimal state, in a healthy state or a healthy range and standard, or if it's in a disease state. Synthetic frequencies overwhelm our natural frequencies of all of our different bodily tissue so that it can't actually sync up or signal correctly to be in an optimal range, because it's getting, imagine, the analogy for this is, imagine you're singing a song and then there's a huge stereo that is blasting something else. That signal, that noise is overwhelming the person who's singing. It's louder. It's being blasted through all these different speakers. That's what's going on with the synthetic frequencies. The noise, the false information, meaning the overwhelming signaling that is not helpful, that is in a discoherent or chaotic state, is scrambling the proper natural signaling of all of the hertz that our body's operating in. So we understand how these weaponized technologies, I'll say weaponized, because many of these technologies could just be neutral. They could be emitting encouragement and even entrainment with positive organic frequencies, but instead they're not inside their correct or aligned form. So these neutral technologies are weaponized and creating synthetic codes, synthetic false information into the input so that the output gets corrupted over time and gets degenerative. So I'm going to now go into the top 5 solutions for how to shield yourself from these synthetic frequencies. The first one is sound baths. Sound is a massive, potent healer. I highly recommend sound baths because not only do they clear your field from negative energies and synthetic frequencies, but they reset it so that it's actually can get the proper information to reset itself into what would be like a relaxed or parasympathetic state. And from the parasympathetic state, now it has a prime opportunity to reorganize. So I'm not necessarily saying that, oh man, if you just go to sound baths, it will do everything for you. But sound baths, actually sound in general, is such a powerful healer. So the sound baths will not only clear the field, but they'll also really encourage and support regeneration through reorganization. Okay, so my second way of shielding yourself from these synthetic frequencies is go into nature. And I'm not even kidding. I'm not sounding like a tree hugger hippie, but literally, if you go into nature, you will see the color green. It is inevitable, even if it's not that much nature and you can only go inside an environment that has very little green. It's fine. Go immerse yourself to the best of your ability inside the color green, because the human eyes are meant to absorb and perceive and receive green more than any other color. We see the most shades of the color green than any other color. And it's super vital because green actually acts like all of the colors as a specific medicine. But the medicine of green is it detoxifies and heals. So what green does is break up all of the stagnant energy and synthetic frequencies inside our field and then detoxify them. So natural green from nature is going to literally help reconfigure the energy field back into organic space, back into organic versions of our reality. Because it's not only reorienting our field and detoxifying the synthetic frequencies, but it's literally being able to fortify your energy field with the codes of organic frequencies. So it's like fortifying, meaning that it's like sealing any damage that needs repairing done to the energy field from those synthetic frequencies. So my third solution for shielding yourself from synthetic frequencies is go out to your community and go to gatherings and events. Being online and seeing people on a screen is fine. I love it. So I'm certainly not against it, but you need to go to community things. Your biofield needs to resonate in person with other people's biofields. Otherwise, we're just theory. We're all just talking heads. If we can't actually embody, and embodiment is not done through talking head and talking online, it can happen to a certain extent, and we're all doing the best we can with creating community, but community is still one of the largest needs inside the collective. I would say the largest collective asking is community. And I'm being honest because I'm an introvert. So, but the largest thing that people can do for entraining their energy field, strengthening it, overpowering the synthetic timelines, and bringing forth stronger levels of organic frequencies and organic timelines and organic realities, everything, is through literally having your biofield with other people's biofields in the real life. So find any form of events that you resonate with. You being in resonance is going to be important, because obviously you'll be very sad if you go to just any event and you'll find people who you don't resonate with. So community gatherings, real people connecting, is going to be huge. It will not only nourish your energy field, it will nourish it because now you're having the human resonance happen, where you're in training with other people's energy fields. But beyond that, it kind of creates this cascade effect for positivity. It's like that saying about the power of 3 or more. That's real. The power of 3 or more, meaning a gathering, and then the intention behind that is far, far more powerful than the synthetic frequencies and whatever they're doing, because it's operating through the organic frequencies. And like I said earlier, the organic frequencies are far more powerful anyways than all of these synthetic frequencies. We just need to be aware to diminish our load of the synthetic frequencies as much as we can. Know that some of it will naturally just be a part of our environment, and we shouldn't go into hypervigilance or paranoia about that, because we're taking all of the precautions anyways. And then doing things of an organic nature. And that if we don't have that factor at play, then everything else is just us now resisting synthetic frequencies. But that's great. We're just going to now create more feedback loops of resistance. And now there's new things to resist. And now there's new things to resist. Being sovereign is not in a state of resistance. Being sovereign is being a master of your reality and consciousness. So many things that we're doing are very positive, because they're making us informed about things. But if they're missing that je ne sais quoi, if they're missing that unique energy field, information exchange that's taking place within all of us in person, then it's really just, just entertainment. It's not real. So that's very important to keep in mind, is that community gatherings, community events, or whatever it is that you resonate with, make sure that you're getting in that biofeedback from your community. Because that's going to be the thing that signals to our timelines that go, oh, okay, they're paying attention over here now. Well, let's feed them a bunch more energy and a bunch more things for them to pay attention to here now. So that's bringing in more organic timelines and experiences and frequencies, instead of us just being aware and then more aware of synthetic things. Now, the fourth thing for a solution to shield from synthetic frequencies is to activate your divine spark. That should be the first, but I was leaving it more towards the end. Activating your divine spark starts with just awakening to your own divinity. and then it'll go deeper from there, and then it'll go deeper from there. And I can't really go into all of that right now because it's a lot, but I still it needs to be said that activating your divine spark is the most potent way. It is the most powerful way to not only shield yourself from synthetic frequencies, but have your energy field act on your behalf, meaning you don't have to do anything. You don't have to think about anything. So if all of these synthetic frequencies are, like baiting us into a lower frequency or lower radio station, as I was saying earlier about the radio stations lowering and lowering, activating your divine spark simply cannot be a match to those lower radio stations, to those lower frequencies. So it simply will rearrange reality around you. It will create Mandela effect, but really just different. It will reshape your timelines around you so that, there is a narrative, there's a story created why that thing didn't harm you. That thing didn't get to you. So activating your divine spark is the most important, because if we don't know that we are divinity, then everything else is coming from the human perception. Everything else is coming from I'm a human protecting myself. You never want to come from that perspective. That's just non-beneficial. So now, the fifth, drumroll, the fifth way to shield yourself from synthetic frequencies is crystals. Crystals are so powerful. They're so powerful that they're a part of our technology. They are a part of organic technology, but we even use them in phones. We use them in all forms of technology. You'll see quartz crystal in phones. Why? Because of its properties. The same goes for every other form of crystal. And the forms of crystals that really help with synthetic frequencies and shielding from the toxic overburden EMFs that we're all receiving is going to be done through, I'll just give 3 primary ones. The first one is elite shungite. Elite shungite has the strongest components of Fuller in them. So you could get other grades of shungite. It just has less of this component, Fuller. And Fuller is why shungite is known for its EMF shielding effects. So you can get other shungite, but like I said, elite shungite, which is usually very brittle, elite shungite has the strongest amount of Fuller in it, the thing that shields from EMF. The second crystal is white aragonite. You won't be able to find this information online. A lot of the stuff that we see about crystals in general online are probably just half of its story. There's far deeper things that crystals can do beyond just the list that we see online. So white aragonite neutralizes the energy field and the environment. So it's not doing it in a shielding way, the way that elite shungite does it. It's doing it instead in a way where it's balancing the field. And it's almost like neutralizing. So if it comes in to range of a negative frequency or of a synthetic frequency, it can neutralize it. So it clears it that way. And once again, it balances the field. So that's how it shields from EMFs. The third crystal is selenite. Selenite's so powerful that it can clear other crystals. And imagine what it does for synthetic frequencies. If it can clear other crystals, it literally purifies. So selenite not only purifies the environment of synthetic frequencies, but I've also in some cases seen it literally transform the energy into positive energy. So selenite is fascinating. And it's also one of, I see it, it's usually one of the cheapest crystals. Okay, so I am going to give a 6th bonus solution. So the 6th one will be amber lighting for indoors. Look into amber lighting bulbs or very similar ones, because sometimes they're not accessible. So there's ones that are similar to them, wink, wink, if you know the wording of them. You guys can share also in the comments what your top solutions for shielding from synthetic frequencies are, as well as whatever about different types of things that you use for instead of amber lighting or what have you. So please make sure to share with each other inside the comments on all of the different things that you do to shield, or all of the different techniques or even meditations that you might use. Okay, and there's a seventh solution. 2 bonus ones. Okay, I promise after this one, there's no more. So the 7th solution for shielding from synthetic frequencies is mind-heart coherence. Mind-heart coherence is so important. It is what will naturally organize your energy field into being in not only the organic environments and timelines, but it will also reorganize your energy field just into what is healthy and promoting optimal health. So it will promote optimal health. And there's many techniques for mind-heart coherence, but that is vital because the heart portal is our primary portal in this reality. It's almost like what you can consider the projection, and everything else is the projector screen. So the heart portal and heart-centered consciousness is the ultimate goal. It's also known as unity consciousness, enlightenment. But it's when consciousness has unified with and into the heart center. And that's such a high level of consciousness, it will reorganize your field on your behalf. I hope this has created coherence. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for higher dimensional guidance through spiritual awakening. See you next time.